Welcome back to the Goomba Stomp podcast. It's post E3 show, and we're gonna give our impressions. It's just me and Tyler. All right, well, let's just kick things into gear because we got a lot to say. First up was Xbox, and what were your overall opinions on the on Xbox's showing at E3?
Well, they did do what they promised. They did show a lot of games, like
That
they said
they did.
they would.
Yep. A lot of
They
people
kinda-
seem to be pretty happy with that. A lot of games shown. Definitely.
They kind of skimmed over the whole DRM and online connectivity.
They didn't even
used
mention
games.
it. Not really surprising, but it was the big elephant in the room. Like, you knew everybody was thinking, like, and that's what I was thinking too. It's like, no matter what they show, unless they go back and change something like that, they can only do so good, in my opinion. They can only be so great, and they can only change my mind so much just by showing me cool games. Because at the end of the day, as many cool games as you give me, I'm still going to have to deal with your console. So they didn't do anything to remedy having to deal with the Xbox One itself, and that's something I just don't want to do. But with that said, they did show a lot of games, and a lot of games that looked pretty fun and pretty cool, and teased some big hits. That's great, and that excites me. It intrigues me. It makes me interested in playing those games, but it does not interest me in playing your console, like buying your console. But anyways, let's continue. One of the
personally, like for me, the only things that really excite me what they showed was I thought the Sunset Overdrive game looked kind of neat. The concept was pretty cool, and that's really the only thing that really wowed me coming from Microsoft, honestly.
Well, I mean, they had other cool things like Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah,
but that's that's multi-platform. True. And I mean, they had the what was the one with the mechs? Titanfall or something like that?
Oh, Titanfall, yeah.
And that looked pretty cool. I think that's exclusive, or maybe it's on PC too. I think it was confirmed to be on PC, but either way, that looked pretty neat. I did like. I mean, one of the big things was Rare bringing back Killer Instinct. See, I was never a huge Killer Instinct fan. I'm huge on Mortal Kombat. I like Street Fighter. I like Marvel vs. Capcom. I like Tekken to a degree. I like Soul Calibur, and I like Bloody Roar at the time that it was out. But I was never like super into Killer Instinct. It was fun, but it's not like a huge I'm not a huge fan of it. So it's cool that they brought it back, because I know a lot of people have been asking for a new KI for years and years and years, and they never thought they'd get it. So it's cool that they're bringing back, but there's already something, they've already revealed something that I just did not, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I don't know if you read this, but Killer Instinct's going to be available at launch. It's going to be an Xbox Live Arcade title, and you basically, it's free to play, but you only get one character. And you have to buy any other characters you want. And that's a unique concept, don't get me wrong. I like the thought that I can just pretty much pay what I want for as many characters as not what I want, but I can choose not to buy a character if I don't like that particular character. If I only use 3 characters, why buy any more? But it doesn't really feel like a complete game then. It doesn't feel like you're getting a full experience. It just feels like, oh, I'm paying for part of a game. Like, I don't know, to me that I'd just rather drop 15, 20 bucks on the game, or the full 60 and have a really, really good game, a full of content game, than pay $5 for a second character. Like, that to me just that kind of takes the legs right out from that, in my opinion.
I mean, I'm assuming they'll have some sort of demo system to try out the characters at least. But I mean,
Maybe. I
it's
mean, maybe maybe the free to play of that one character is like their free trial, and you can't try the other characters. I have no idea. You might be right, but I just don't see that as a concept I want for my games because I doubt it's going to be just that game. I feel like that's going to
it's
be a
yeah. I
trend
feel
that they
like they're
start.
setting they're going to be setting a trend here that
Yeah.
something I
And
wouldn't want to see. But
yeah,
I'm not a big fighting game person, so it's not something I really
I mean just
am concerned about.
just think of a game that you like. Let's take Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
You get
I get that.
Mario and then you have to pay for each character individually.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just you want a full game experience. When your friends come over, you want to be
Yeah,
able to see a
exactly.
roster of 30 characters that you can pick from. And I don't even know if you can fight those other characters. What if you're just literally for the free version, you're fighting the same character that you play as and you only get to fight the other characters if you buy them. Then you're just playing a game. So if you want to, drop $10 to get a couple more characters or however much they're going to cost, then you're only fighting in a game full of those three characters. That's boring.
I wouldn't think they'd do that, but I mean,
And is there
they
going to be a
didn't reveal
story
too.
mode? Is there going to be like challenges? Is there any more substance to this game other than you get this character and then you get to buy another character to play as? Or I don't know. It's too early to judge, so don't think that I'm just like completely passing it off. It's just to me that's just I don't like the way that's set up. I don't like the concept of that. But it's not out yet, so I don't know enough details to really make a final judgment on it. It's just that's weird to me. But anyways, so that's an Xbox exclusive. So that's going to sell some Xbox Ones just from a lot of Killer Instinct fans, which is pretty sad. I mean, it's great for them. I couldn't be happier. Even though in the coverage I read, they said that it doesn't even really feel that much like Killer Instinct. It feels like more like Street Fighter and stuff. It feels very different, just with Killer Instinct characters and the ultra combos and combo breakers, etc. So we'll see how that plays out and see how that reviews. I guess the company that does it hasn't even really made any sort of good game. A lot of their games have gotten poor ratings, but we'll see. Beyond that, they teased Halo, which everyone had to have expected. I mean, that's cool. I'm a big Halo fan. It's one of my favorite gaming franchises. But once again, This isn't going to be. I don't want this to be a Halo box experience. I don't want to buy this just because I really want to play Halo. I just don't get into that. Like, once again, they just didn't. They didn't even address the issues with their console, and that's a huge thorn in the paw, so to speak.
It's definitely the elephant in the room.
Yeah, and what else did they talk about? They showed off a lot. They showed like Spark, and that's supposed to be like their version of Little Big Planet, so to speak. It's a game within a game, and you can create a bunch of cool stuff, use creativity and smart glass, etc. And that's really cool. I like that. I'm a big fan of Little Big Planet, so if they did something like that, that's neat. They got rid of Microsoft points, so now they're going to just money system, which is smart. Even though they should have done that from the get
It should have
go.
been done like years ago.
Yeah,
But
I don't know how
it's
many
just like
times
the
I've had.
D-pad thing where it's just like,
Yeah,
good job, you adopted an old system that works better.
exactly. I mean, you can only give them so much credit when they take a step back, like to go back to something that's better. When you're taking a step back to have a better system, then there's only so much praise you can give them for that.
Yeah.
What else did they? What else did they? What am I missing here?
Let's see. They didn't. They really only talked about their games, but they also talked about the Quantum Break and Forza, and they had Rise, the Rome. What was it the Rise Son of Rome?
Yeah, and that's gonna be a launch title.
Yeah.
Beyond that, they basically sum it up. They showed a lot of games, and that's cool. But I still stick by what I said. Unless you give us something that says your console's worth it, then like the console itself is worth the money you're paying for, and we should probably get into that.
Oh,
They announced
money
the
you're
price
paying
value.
for.
Yeah,
Yes.
the price value is listed as what was it? $499.
$499.
So $500.
And that's for the base console.
Yep. And
With was it 500 gigabyte? Did they even announce it?
I don't know if they announced it or not. I know Sony announced theirs, but I
Yes.
don't remember if Microsoft did or not. If they didn't, oh well. Or I mean, if they did and we forget, oh well. But that's not that. I mean, it's important, but it's not like important. It's not going to save their conference or anything. But
No.
anyways, so good conference in terms of games that they showed off, which they needed to do to make up for their initial reveal. Which is it's cool that they got all the TV stuff out of the way and didn't bog down their conference. They didn't really have any boring parts. But for somebody like me, as well as you, who wanted to know what's their answer to the fan backlash against their horrible restrictions on their console. They didn't do anything to address that. They didn't even hint at maybe any possible remedies for that. It was just completely ignored as if it wasn't even there. And
They treated it as if it wasn't even a problem, basically.
yeah, so
Like they didn't have to defend themselves.
yeah, and that's just not. I can't do that, and I don't. Just frustrating. So I mean that pretty much covers Microsoft's. I don't want to dwell too much on their conference. They delivered games, which they needed to do to excite people, and I saw some people like saying they're going to pre-order Xbox One, and nobody on my Facebook or anything, nobody I know personally, but
No, I don't know.
they retweeted. There was some retweets on Twitter from people to like IGN and stuff where they couldn't wait to get an Xbox One for Killer Instinct or this or like the Spark game or something like that, or the new Halo was one that really I saw a lot of retweets of people wanting to buy it, which you had to know that was going to happen anyways. You knew they've already confirmed the next like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 Halos are going to exist, so
Mm-hmm.
it's not like that was a big shocker there.
It seems. I just feel like Halo's kind of starting to go down the selling out point.
I mean, I enjoyed Halo 4 from a gameplay perspective, but there was way too many glitches, and I was one of the unfortunate ones to have a game-breaking glitch where it sends me to the main menu every random game, so that's frustrating and kills the gaming experience for me. But well, not gonna dwell on that. Okay, so let's just wrap up the Xbox conference then and give our final opinions on the Xbox One and our final. Let's rate the conference itself, and then let's re-rate we'll re-rate the consoles like percentage wise later at the end of
Okay.
the thing. So just rating the conference, what would you give Microsoft for their conference? Like how well they
A letter
presented
grade.
themselves. Uh, I was thinking 1 to 10.
What's a C minus? I give him a C minus.
Okay, so about like a 7.
Maybe like no, a little bit below average. So like it would
So
be a 4.
okay, for me, I'm gonna go with a 7. They showed a lot of games that was really important. That's gonna get them some sales, and that was a smart strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And what kept them from getting an 8 or a 9 or a 10 from me is, I mean, they lost 3 points right out of the gate for not even remedying their console, like the console itself. So yeah, I can't give them above a 7, and the 7 is purely just because they did show some cool games, and that's important. But anyways, moving on. So I gave them a 7, you gave them a 4.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go on to EA. Neither of us are really that huge into sports games, so there was a good chunk of that conference that both of us were just kind of not even caring at all because neither of us really are interested in NBA, live or Madden or FIFA, etc., etc., etc. But with that aside, I mean, not everything's supposed to appeal to us. They
Mm-hmm.
got to appeal to their sports fans, and that's a huge thing what EA does. So good on them. I'm not. That's not a bad. I'm not detracting from them for showing off some sports stuff. They kind of lost me though on that. But
I gotta
let's.
say though, the NBA, the talking was a bit unsettling with
Yeah,
like the in engine talking. It was just kind of awkward.
yeah. Um, what other games did EA show off?
Oh, they had Peggle 2, of
Yeah,
course,
I
the
mean,
big
Peggle
one.
2 was announcing Peggle 2. They didn't show anything, but just announcing Peggle 2, that made me happy. That was the highlight
It's
for
got
me.
some big hype going up on Peggle 2. I've seen
Yeah.
a lot of hype about it.
Yeah.
I think they had like Battlefront and Mirror Edge too, I think, or something.
Yeah, Mirror's Edge 2, that was a big thing for me. Yeah, Mirror's Edge 2 and Peggle 2 were probably the highlights of the show for me. I've been waiting for Mirror's Edge 2 for forever. So, I guess it's supposed to be a reboot. That's the weird thing. They've only
Yeah,
done one game and they're going to reboot
it seems a bit weird, like, yeah, rebooting the one game we made.
So, that's odd to me, but either way, it's more Mirror's Edge, so I don't care. I'm completely down for that. And Peggle 2, down for that. What other games beyond the sports ones did they show? I know they showed the Plants
The
vs
new
Zombies shooter thing that they're doing, which looked interesting, but
is weird. I don't know. I don't like it at all.
they're making a sequel to Plants vs Zombies separate from that.
Yeah, but it's still like it's not something I'd ever buy. I
Yeah.
mean,
I never played the first one, so that's not something I ever really got attached to, but I did think it looked interesting. I thought it looked neat. It looked fun, but I don't know if that's something I really will get into myself or even try. But it looked cool, so maybe that'll attract some people. What else did they touch upon?
they briefly showed Star Wars Battlefront 3, which I guess a lot of people are like really excited for. But
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, not surprised that a lot of people were happy about that, but I was surprised how many.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, I was surprised just how many. Like I was looking at, or I was watching IGN's review of the EA thing, and like that made it for them, the Battlefront. It's like it was just like a 10-second teaser, like it's a blink and you miss it type of thing. But I guess at the end of the day, it wasn't about the teaser. It's just about the announcement that they're doing it. So I could see that. So I mean, beyond that, there's not a whole lot more to cover of EA from our perspective, unless you're like more of a sports fan and stuff, and you can cover that part and get more in depth on how you felt about that. But with that aside, since that's not really our thing, just based on everything as a whole, what did you think of their conference? What would you give it?
EA, I'd give them like a 6. I mean, it wasn't particularly. There's nothing really wrong with their conference, but there wasn't really particularly anything outstanding about it either.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take. I mean, two of their biggest things.
For me, at least. I mean, obviously they had some really good games, and a lot of people are really pumped for Battlefield, the new Battlefront, and the new Mirror's Edge. But from like my perspective,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you gotta figure two of their biggest things that a lot of people thought like made for a really awesome conference was like a 10-second trailer. 10-second trailer for Battlefront, and that's just. I mean, I might be underestimating the time, but either way, it was a really really short trailer.
It was a blink and you miss it.
Yeah,
trailer.
They showed the Battlefront trailer. They showed a short Mirror's Edge trailer that really didn't show a whole lot either. And then they just announced Peggle 2. They just announced it. Didn't show anything.
Mm-hmm.
So if those are the three biggest things and they really didn't show anything, no gameplay footage, not even a real actual trailer, just like a CGI teaser basically, and one being an announcement, like, I mean, it wasn't really that impressive to me. I mean, it was cool.
There was too much wrong because, I mean, they did go quite a bit in length with their Battlefield, showing like the 64 people playing and whatnot, the big building exploding, and then they had the
true, yeah, the Battlefield stuff was good. I'll give them that.
All the sports, they're showing off all that. Nothing I'm interested, but I mean, from like a show perspective, they didn't put on a bad show by any means.
Yeah, I forgot about the Battlefield, so I forgot that was EA. I didn't forget about it, but yeah, Battlefield looked really, really good. I've always liked Battlefield. I didn't play the third one. I played the beta, but I really enjoyed Bad Company's, both of them, and I'm excited for Battlefield 4. I thought the building falling and diving off before it fell and parachuting down and stuff like that, and then the fighting on the boats and stuff like that. Battlefield does vehicle combat really well, and the environmental destruction and stuff like that. It all looked really solid, and I can see new hardware capabilities and software capabilities really doing them some good favors.
Definitely. It's just I also really hate I really hate EA though, honestly.
Yeah, EA is
I
frustrating.
cannot stand them as a company. I'm glad
No.
that there's going to be a Peggle 2. I am, but
So what would your rating be?
I'd say like a 6. I mean, it was I don't like them, but they put on a decent show.
All right, and I was gonna go with oh man, I'm gonna go with 6.5. I think I liked it a little bit more than you, just because I can appreciate like the Battlefield stuff a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more. But yeah, I agree. They lost me with the sports. I don't hold that against them, but they lost me with it, and a lot of their big stuff was just small trailers, which to me, I want to see gameplay. That's this. I mean, I'll get to my complaint with like Assassin's Creed a little bit later, but I want to see actual gameplay to get me excited. I don't want to just anybody can make a CG trailer and get people excited. I mean, it could be the crappiest game ever. They can make a great CG trailer, and that's not going to sell me. I mean, think of Dead Island. That had that has one of the best CG trailers for a game, but the game itself was, it was so. It was decent, but it wasn't anything nearly as amazing or hyped up as the trailer was. And so I've come to the point where you can show me a CG trailer for a game, that's great and all, but I want to see the gameplay. I want to see the actual meat and potatoes of the game and show and know that it's going to be good. So they didn't really do that for me. Battlefield was that moment, I guess you could say, and that's what gives them such a 6.5 is what they did. But anyways, moving on to Ubisoft. Ubisoft, I think, had a really, really, really good conference. I was blown away by Ubisoft.
I didn't watch the full conference, but I did watch the trade like afterwards. Like I watched what I wanted to watch. From what I saw, the Watch Dogs looks really cool.
Oh yeah, Watch Dogs. Everybody and their mom's excited for Watch Dogs.
Yeah, Rayman Legends looks actually really fun.
Oh yeah,
Actually,
no. Oh,
I'm probably gonna get Rayman.
did you ever
Legends
play
'cause
Rayman the last one?
I didn't play Origins. No.
Yeah, I have Origins for Xbox, so you and I have to play that sometime when you come
Yeah,
back. That's
it's as long as it's like because I never really I know I did play a little bit. I think it was on PS3.
yeah,
It was a 2D side scrolling one, right?
yeah. It's the same as Legends is basically the same thing, just new levels and
Yeah,
stuff.
just new characters. They had the cute little redhead with the battle.
Yeah,
axe.
that's the only one that Origins didn't have. The other ones, like the big blue guy and crap like that, they had those in Origins. So yeah, Origin's a lot of fun. I never beat it. I only did like the first world or so with Tyler and stuff. But we definitely need to play that. It got such great reviews, and it is a great game. I just never got around to playing all the way through with anybody, so we definitely need to do that. But anyways, yes, Rayman Legends did look really, really solid. I love the art style of that game.
Yeah,
That
it
has
just
probably
looks
the
so
most beautiful
crisp.
art style out of anything from an artistic standpoint. That is, like,
Yeah,
it's
like,
just
everything's
amazing.
really clean. The lines are really clean. There's no pixelation at all. It's just everything's really smooth looking.
Yeah, the worlds are just full of theme and flavor. You just can't beat that. Like, it's just so, like, I love Mario to death, but when you look at Rayman's worlds, like the backgrounds and all that, it just it kind of puts Mario to shame. It makes Mario feel like it's very bland. And Mario's not bad. I'm not saying Mario's bad at all. I
Oh yeah.
love Mario, but that's just how damn good Rayman Legends looks.
I mean, Rayman's always been a game about environment. Yeah, I used to play the original Rayman back on PlayStation 1 all the time. But I mean, damn, it was a hard game, but
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Rayman Origins is pretty tough. Like there's some missions that you got to do over and over and over, and it's very trial and error. But that's what's so fun about it. It's tough. I mean, it's difficult, and it requires fast paced movements and reactions that, like I said, that's once again the new Super Mario Bros. Games really aren't that tough, and it seems like it's more kid friendly, holding your hand type stuff. Which, like I said, I'm not. I like those games. I don't mean to sound like I'm bashing Mario at all. I love Mario, but Rayman just seems like it's being more innovative with its stuff.
It's definitely keeping the old side scrolling vibe in terms of difficulty.
Exactly. Okay, so we got Rayman covered, and we just talked about Watch Dogs a little bit. Watch Dogs looks great. We could talk more about it, but
Oh
they
yeah,
showed it at a pre E3, so I mean they
it's
showed
it's
it
been
last
talked
year.
about
Yeah.
to death like for the past like few months.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's from what they like the gameplay they showed. It's really cool how you can be really creative with how you go about escaping the police. I like that. Like how he there's like not just one set way to play the game. You can play it however you want.
Exactly. Um let's see, what else did they had so many. Like Screw Attack asked who he thought had the best conference so far at this point between EA, Microsoft, and Ubisoft, and Ubisoft had been my favorite up to that point because they just showed so many games that I was actually interested in. So what else did they show? They showed the South Park Stick of Truth.
Yeah, they did show the trailer for that was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it
They didn't
looked
show any
good.
gameplay, but
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
they did reassure us that hey, it still exists, so that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Because with the downfall of
exactly. Yeah.
what I already forgot their name.
THQ.
THQ. Um, so it's good to see that still in development because they told us it still would be, but they didn't give us like any more information. They also showed Assassin's Creed, the Black Flag.
Yep. They did show a little bit of that. They showed a trailer,
Mm-hmm.
and
They
that
did the gameplay in Sony.
yeah, but
Where
yeah,
you
they
look
showed a
at
trailer here, and that was cool. I enjoyed the trailer, but once again, and I'll get into this, but Assassin's Creed. I like Assassin's Creed games, but it always seems like the trailer and the demos they do of it is better than the actual game itself.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they're bad games, but they're not nearly as good as they make them look in the trailers and on-stage demos that they do. They seem to it's like kind of like movie trailers. They show you the best parts, and then the actual game is a lot more repetitive and boring to a degree. But anyways, I did like the trailer though. It was good. What else did they show? They showed oh man, I'm struggling to. Oh yeah, Trials.
The new Trials.
They showed the Trials for a mobile device and the next generation consoles. So I'm excited for that. I'm huge into Trials HD and Trials Evolution, so a lot of people are happy with that.
I always try to get the best times and
Yeah, I'm I'm rated like 109 in the world or like 93 in the world on one of those like challenges, and so much fun. I love those types of games where you're just trying to shave
top
seconds
score.
off times
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and little fun challenges. It has good humor and just fun gameplay. So that's cool that they announced that. That's gonna make a lot of people happy. Um, I didn't want to jump into this yet, but my mind is going blank on what else they showed because I know there's other stuff that I like. Oh, Splinter Cell, Splinter Cell Blacklist. They had already previously announced it, but I enjoyed the trailer, even though it was kind of an awkward trailer, so to speak, that didn't really seem to show a whole lot new or give you a new sense of the gameplay, like of what's going to be going on. It just kind of was a trailer, which I thought was odd for Splinter Cell. They've already shown it off. They showed off some gameplay and stuff, so why not just show like a section of the level of how cool it is and how it's like more like classic Splinter Cell mixed with the newer styles, so that way you're going to get the best of both worlds. And they could have done better on the Splinter Cell, but I still liked it. It's Splinter Cell, so I'm all about Splinter Cell, so I'm definitely excited for that. They showed the Rocksmith thing where you play the guitar to learn how to play guitar, which was a kind of a slow start to the conference in my opinion, but it was cool for those that are into that sort of thing. And then the Division.
Yeah,
Tom Clancy's Division was probably the show stealer for Ubisoft because
Yeah.
it was a complete shocker, complete surprise, and it had a very similar feel and tone and look to like Watch Dogs, but completely different play style, completely different game, and it just looks really really solid, really smooth. The graphics looked amazing. The details, like I commented to you while we were like after I watched it on how like when he was shooting through the car at the guy, there would be individual bullet holes on the windshield that seemingly was very realistic. And a lot of games don't do that. They do like the whole cracked windshield, the spidered windshield, and stuff like that. They don't show all the individual bullet holes in going into walls and stuff like that. It just looked really really smooth. I loved all the gadgets. I loved the theme, the concept, the trailer before it, everything about that just looked amazing, and that just completely blew it away. That was definitely for me the show stealer for that conference and E3 up until that point. Like it was just that good. I felt like the presentation, just how they did it, was that good. It was the Watch Dogs of this E3. Last E3 they showed Watch Dogs as a surprise, and that was all the buzz going out of E3. And for me, that's how I feel about this game. It looked really solid. And I think one thing that was they were confused about is I saw a Twitter remark that was kind of like sarcastic, where they're like, as the dialogue was going on for the trailer, as the characters are talking to each other, not the trailer, but the gameplay itself.
Yeah.
They were like, oh man, these people don't really, or the characters' dialogue don't sound very post-apocalyptic because they're all like nonchalant about everything. But it's like, I don't think they realize these are actual people playing.
Yeah.
Like
the same thing got me too. I was like, these guys don't sound like really professional voice actors. Like,
they sounded so natural, but I
realized it was like, oh, it's just people playing the
game. It sounded so natural, but they sounded like they were into the game. Like they were very working together, that they sounded so much like they were working together that they did sound like in-game AI, but they sounded so natural, so it kind of gave you the best of both worlds, and it was just good presentation on their part, in my opinion. It added to the immersion, because you felt like, yeah, this is AI, but they were being smart and they sounded natural. Like they didn't sound like they were acting. They didn't sound like they were like hamming it up, just like, oh, you got to come over here right now. Like, no, it was like, oh, he's throwing a Molotov. Like it just sounded like how you would play, but they were just being more communicate. They were actually communicating what they were doing at all times, unlike a lot of players do. But they were being a good team, and that really, really, really intrigued me. It just looked so fun, and that city just looked beautiful, and supposedly you can go everywhere. So I can't wait for that just in the RPG elements. Like I said, I can't say enough about this game. I'm just nerdgasming all over the place. The RPG elements, the skills that you can get, that he rolls that little ball out that just automatically goes behind the car and then blows up like a flashbang or whatever it was. The turret that they put up, somebody can use a tablet and control a little plane and help them out and paint targets and stuff, which is cool. I'm not going to use a tablet or anything, but it's cool that they offer the option. Yeah. I'm all for like cross-platform play, like using tablets or your phone for anything, as long as it's not required. It's just like motion controls. I'm all for the option to use them if they're integrated well. I just don't want to be forced to use these things to have a good time. And you don't have to. They're just options. So I'm all for it. Everything about that game looked amazing. No complaints there whatsoever. Ever since it started with that, lead up trailer, I was completely hooked. So yes, that just blew me away. And one thing that we're forgetting earlier in the conference, which wasn't as good as this, so I didn't save necessarily the best for last, but this was a big talking point, was the crew.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up if you weren't going to.
Yeah, which looked pretty interesting, for a car game. I like Burnout, but I was never that into like Need for Speeds or anything like that. I liked Hot Pursuit a little bit because it was fun chasing your friend as a cop and stuff like that. But this had a really cool concept that you can basically drop in, drop out anytime, wherever you're at. You're just all free roaming around the whole U.S. However they do that, I don't know, but they have the whole U.S. there, and basically if they're all the way on the other side of the U.S., they can just hop on over and just take control of a car, whatever they, customize it however they feel like from the very ground up. Like all the small details of a car, everything you want, from all the little details of the engine and everything, the torque and all the ridiculous things if you're a car fan. And you can customize all those things. And then not only that, you can participate in races together. You can do takedown missions and all sorts of co-op stuff like that. And it just looked really, really fun. Like if you're into like co-op stuff like that. And I thought it looked really interesting. It's something that I'd at least give a rent. If I could find 3 other people that were interested too, it's something that you could rent on a weekend just to see, how it goes. And it definitely caught interest. The presentation was really well done. And that's what I think Ubisoft had in spades, was their presentation of these games.
Except they didn't. Aisha Tyler, she was pretty terrible.
I didn't mind her though. I really didn't. I didn't mind her. I thought she's not funny. Don't get me wrong. I didn't find her jokes funny. I thought a lot of them fell flat. But with that aside, with the fact that a lot of her jokes came off, like I said, unfunny, she did good from an effort standpoint. She really tried, and she's good at talking. She's really
Yeah.
good at. She did not stumble. She did not like. She didn't look like she was nervous or felt pressured. She didn't stumble over words. She didn't. She didn't do bad at all. She was great. She was a great presenter. It's just she's in front of like a tough crowd. The E3 crowd can be a tough crowd, and they didn't really find her funny, just like they didn't really find her jokes funny last year. But in
I
terms
remember
of
last year she was a lot better than she was last year. I will give her that.
but in
Last year was
terms
pretty
yeah,
was pretty cringe worthy.
I don't know. I guess I just didn't mind her because I thought, she is a gamer.
Mm-hmm.
She's not pretending. She does play games. She plays games with her husband and stuff like that. And she has fun. She's not like a pretend. She's not this good looking woman that they throw out there just to get the sex appeal going on for all the nerdy gamers that can't get it. So they want to look at some nice boobs on screen. They didn't do that, which a lot of times companies do. A lot of like E3 booth babes and all that kind of crap. That's what they do. And she's an actual gamer. She knows what she's talking about. She's interested in what she's talking about. She's not faking it. And she actually she knows what like she does well at talking. The people just I think people give her so much crap and hate on her just because her jokes aren't that funny. But is that really does that make her terrible? No, it just means she's just not that funny. But it doesn't make her a terrible presenter. I think out of Ubisoft's presenters, which they have a bad history of bad presenters, she's the best by far, in my opinion.
I'll give you that definitely.
So I don't think they should get rid of her. I just think they should have her not try so hard to be human.
She should work on some of her jokes.
She should either get a writer instead of like because I know she does stand up and stuff. So maybe she should get a writer to do her jokes instead. To maybe that's more in tune with like what gamers might find as sarcastic humor. Like either get a writer because I'm sure she could deliver it well.
Mm-hmm.
So either get a writer that has better jokes or just cut back on the humor and just give solid presentation. So, anyways, moving on from Maisha Tyler, let's let's okay, wrapping up Ubisoft's conference. What would you rate them as a conference wise?
I'd give them like. I need to think. What would you give them?
I'd have to go. Man, to me, they knocked it out of the park. There was not one section where I was really bored. There was no section where I felt like they were catering to this type of gamer. Oh, let's not forget they did. I know we just kind of backtracking a little bit, but one little side note that we didn't cover was they showed that the quest for the epic treasure or something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think
I know
saw
you
that.
didn't see the whole thing, but they showed like it's like something like the epic quest or the quest for the epic treasure where you essentially it seemed like a two-player game and it had a lot of humor, like a very sarcastic, funny, edgy humor to it, but it was cartoony as well and had great CG trailers and a little bit of gameplay, but it had great CG trailers with tons and tons of humor. And essentially it's two players and you got to go one person goes room to room to room to room and the other person gets to pick what's in those rooms and stuff and you're trying to keep him from making it up all the way into your castle to the final room to get your treasure. So it looked really kind of interesting. Like you set traps and you got to figure out and you can like swap between the different characters with different abilities to make it through each room. So it actually looked kind of fun. But it's out now actually. Their beta's up right now and it's like a computer game that you go to their site to sign up for the beta or something like that. Anyways, complete sidetracked, but I just want to throw that in there in case, I just wanted a full coverage going on there.
No,
but
I forgot Just Dance though.
Just Dance, yeah, I don't really care about that. But anyways, overall, I'd say I gotta go with 8.5. They knocked it out of the park. They did everything right as much as they could. I mean, they're not a console, so they don't have that hype factor to it of showing off new console parts and all that kind of cool, fun stuff. So they didn't get that privilege. But in terms of just games, you got like we said, Rayman, Watch Dogs, The Division, The Crew, the castle game I was just talking about, the South Park game, Assassin's Creed, Trials, like they just knocked it out of the park. And I know I forgot something in there, like Splinter Cell and stuff. Like they just knocked it out of the park. Like I only give them an 8.5 instead of like a 9 or a 9.5 just because I don't know, like I said, they didn't have the hype factor of a console and stuff like that. But man, I'm leaning between an 8.5 and a 9.0, but I got to go 8.5 just because I don't know. I feel like 9. I don't know. I'm just going to stick with 8.5.
I give it like 7.5. Definitely, it's they definitely showed a lot of games, and they definitely delivered on a lot of games. But for me, I mean, really, realistically, the only games I'm probably gonna be playing are Rayman and maybe The Division and Watch Dogs. But
Man, those games look fucking awesome.
they didn't blow me away. They definitely, it was a good show, and I liked it a lot. I liked what they showed, but it didn't blow me away.
Yeah. All right. Well, that covers Ubisoft pretty well. Um, let's move on to Sony.
Yes, let's
They
talk
capped it
about
off
Sony.
last night with Sony. Um, okay, Sony for me had all the potential going into this, and I wanted to see them knock it out of the park. I really badly wanted to see them just like ensure my buying of their console, because honestly, Xbox just didn't do it for me, as we talked about earlier. They had so
Mm-hmm.
much negative press going into it. They addressed none of it, and they just tried to sell me on games, and I just wasn't buying it that much. So, anyways, Sony really kind of started off slow for me. I got to be honest, I was bored. I just didn't feel it. For the first half an hour to an hour, I was just more like first half an hour. I was just like,
See, I jumped in right as they were showing Assassin's Creed, so I missed the first part.
okay. And that's probably better that you did, because the first half was pretty much covering all the bases that they usually cover. They did a little, this is every, like the first half an hour wasn't even talking about the PS4. It was purely just, this is what's coming out for Vita. This is what's coming out this year for PS3, and boasting about how much games are still coming out for their, PS3, that they're not abandoning it, that there's still so much left to come out. Like they were talking about like 100 games or something ridiculous coming out for PS3 in this next coming year. And basically they were just boasting about that. They showed the Last of Us like gameplay or trailer or something, which I thought was weird because it comes out today. Actually, I need to go rent that son of a bitch. I completely forgot about that. Damn it! I would have done that. There might be out of copies. Damn it. That's okay. I might buy it or just wait or something. I don't know.
I heard nothing but good things about
No, I'm dying to play that. I honestly completely spaced that was today. Through work and other crap and whatnot, I just completely spaced that. But anyways, not to dwell on that. They showed the Last of Us trailer and stuff and footage, which I thought was weird because it came out the next day. But maybe they were just trying to get that last little rub and attention towards it because it is E3. And anyways, they were just boasting about everything they got going on and showing off that, hey, we're not abandoning the Vita, and they had to give the PS3 some love and all that stuff. So they covered all their bases there, and just kind of tooting their own horn on that. So that bored me. I didn't really care about any of that. Obviously, the big thing was the PS4. That's what I wanted to hear about. So, with that being said, they finally, or before we got to that, after all of that stuff I just talked about, then they got into the TV stuff and how the PS4 is going to have Flickster and Redbox Instant and all the TV support, which I was really bored. And I honestly posted on Twitter like, oh dear God, don't go the Xbox One route. This is really, I even said they're dropping the ball here. I went that far as to say Sony is dropping the ball because I thought they had so
it.
much potential. I thought they had so much potential going into here to wow me, and they didn't come out hot out of the gates like I expected them to and wanted them to. But with that being said, after they got all that out of the way, at the end game, I completely understood why they did that and why they started out like that.
They like
They wanted to
put you down so
they
they could hit you out
well
of the park.
yeah, they wanted to have, they wanted their last, they wanted to just be nonstop slapping you in the face with goodness. But my point is, they needed to cover their grounds. They needed to get the PS3 stuff out of the way because people, if they didn't, people are still going to be wondering, oh, what about my PS3? You're not abandoning us, are you? You're not abandoning your 10-year plan, are you? They wanted to get the Vita people, they wanted to make sure they got some love, and they wanted to make sure, and they wanted to cover the grounds of the PS4 and say, hey, all this TV stuff that Microsoft is doing, we're going to have that kind of stuff too. Don't worry about that. We got that covered. So, although it's boring, they pretty much covered their grounds and all that because it was going to be all uphill from there, or all good things from there.
They're basically showing that Xbox doesn't have anything we don't.
All right. Indeed. So, with that being said, then they hit us with the Final Fantasy. What are your thoughts on that? Because I'm not into Final Fantasy. That's never a franchise I even played or got into. But I thought it was cool, and I know that excited some people. But what did you think of it personally?
I think it looks terrible. I'll never buy it because I hate what they're doing in the Final Fantasy series, and I seriously haven't seen a good one since 10. It's from what I saw. I watched all of it because like I said, I started with Assassin's Creed. So, I saw it. It looks, I don't know. I don't like the character design. It doesn't feel very Final Fantasy. The only thing really remotely Final Fantasy about it is that I saw like Ifrit and I saw Leviathan, and then I think I saw what are they called? The big knight guys. Other than that, like everything seems to be really, it's too actiony. It's like a Shadow of the Colossus meets Kingdom Hearts, and it's definitely a Square Enix game, but I just don't like it being called Final Fantasy, because to me Final Fantasy is turn-based combat with a really good storyline and really good music, and they could have really good music and they could have good storyline, I don't know, but it's still, I don't know, I don't like it because it's not turn-based combat, but I'm just an old man with that.
All right, well then, after that, they hit us with Kingdom Hearts 3. What is your thoughts on that?
And that's going to be fantastic. I'm so
I never played Kingdom Hearts.
Really, literally when I saw it, I was like, oh, Disney, I'm like, oh, here it comes. Here's another Kingdom Hearts game for the Vita. And like they're showing it, I'm like, yep, this is going to be a Vita game. I can just feel it in my heart. It's going to be another goddamn offshoot game like Dream Drop Distance and every other I can't remember the other ones, because there's like 3 or 4 of them, and I was like, they're never gonna make Kingdom Hearts 3. It's never gonna happen. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the logo comes down with a 3, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I gotta say, it looked pretty damn impressive. I've never played a Kingdom Hearts game, but I dig the style of Kingdom Hearts, and I like that it has all the Disney characters and stuff like that. It's definitely something I can get into. It's just never something I gave a shot. So, I mean, that's definitely something I want to try and get into. It's not like it's something that's not my style or anything like that. I love Disney characters, first of all, and the gameplay looks fun. So, definitely interested in trying it, and that's cool that they announced that. I know that was a big bombshell for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, to say the least.
All right,
it's been like 7 years maybe since they made Kingdom Hearts 2.
All right, so what else did they announce?
They had Assassin's Creed, which they had quite a bit of technical problems with.
I saw that. It kept like freezing for a second.
They didn't even finish the gameplay demo. They like had to stop it.
Okay, that's where I bowed out, was before it finished, so I didn't get to see that part.
Yeah, like the ending, they didn't finish it, so like everybody was kind of confused, and like they kind of didn't applaud at first because they weren't sure if it was over. But yeah, they had, other than the technical difficulties, it looked kind of cool. I mean,
yeah, I thought it looked fun. I mean, it is Assassin's Creed, so once again, like I said, it's kind of deceiving in the fact that it always looks cooler on stage during their demos, because obviously they're choosing what they show, and they're going to show you something that's cool rather than the in-between times where you're just running around doing nothing or trying to figure out what the hell you're supposed to do, or doing the same mission over and 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 over. And okay, that's a lot of overs.
Well, the thing is, like, I know Assassin's Creed's never been like a ultimately like an ultra realistic game.
Yeah.
But even now, it seemed a little goofy. Like, Like there was some definitely suspension of disbelief in that trailer. Like he just walks past people, they don't seem to notice him, and he jumps from like tiny little boards
Dude, it's all
onto
about
moving
being a
ships.
badass.
I know, and I understand. Like they're trying to make it as badass as possible, but him jumping onto the boat and then taking command of the boat and the boat moving extremely quickly for
Yeah.
what. I understand it's a video game. It's not supposed to be realistic. It's supposed to be fun, but it seemed a little goofy.
Yep. All right. Well, it definitely looked cool though, so I'll be interested in seeing that play out and seeing how well it gets reviewed and just seeing gameplay footage in general and maybe giving that a try. Because it's not that I never liked Assassin's Creed. I tried the first one; it was very repetitive, so I stopped playing it. Um, I liked. I think the only one I ever played beyond that was Brotherhood, and I didn't
Hmm.
get too much into the story just because it's a little. I don't know. It's just not a single player game that I really could get into. But the multiplayer on that was tons and tons of fun. Trying to pretend, like trying to blend in and put on disguises to be other people and stuff, and then you got to all anybody that's played it knows what it is. So either way, I really enjoy that kind of aspect of climbing buildings and being sneaky and stuff like that. So if they have that kind of stuff in this one too, I'm all for that. So I might give it a try. Just depends what else is releasing around that time, of course. A lot of good games coming out this fall though, so
Oh yeah, and they
it's
also
gonna be
showed a
tough.
really extensive trailer of Watch Dogs, which looked really good. They showed like a whole mission unfolding.
Yeah,
And that did you? I don't know if you watched that.
I didn't. I watched the Ubisoft Watch Dogs like trailer slash mission going off, but I didn't see the one that Sony did.
Yeah, they did like a whole mission where they have to rescue this guy and like take him to safety. So they were like demonstrating him like evading police by like opening a gate by hacking it and then hiding out in like a little parking spot as the police drove by. And then he gets out and the police end up catching him, so he triggers a blackout for that section of the city.
Oh, okay, yeah. I saw that.
And everything looks pretty neat. Um, they also what other games did they show? They showed showed that they backed up their statement they made on Twitter like a week ago or so or some. So they said no hurdles, just games as far as indie developers, and they
Yeah,
showed all those indie games that are coming out. They said they're not gonna inhibit anybody from publishing a game, which
yeah,
is
exactly.
definitely a
And
slap in the face to Microsoft again.
oh yeah, no, you could definitely tell just especially starting there. I think that's where it really started was they're embracing indie development and they're taking these indie companies that have such potential with previous games or just what they have to show for themselves, and they're taking them under their wing. I think indie developers in general kind of probably have a sour taste in their mouth about Microsoft right about now and the Xbox One, and they're like, hey, you know what? Sony's gonna do the complete opposite. They're gonna be like, they're gonna completely let us do what we want, and they're gonna be all for doing what they can to help us, put these indie games on their console. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of exclusive indie games come to Sony because of that. Just out of principle, because Sony's being a lot more supportive of them. And I think that's a great strategy for Sony because I don't know how many people I know that just love playing indie games. Like they get tired of the big, AAA blockbusters and all they want to play is like, arcade titles and indie games just to see what other people can do.
It's absolutely. I mean, it's what Microsoft is doing is just like they're trying to inhibit creativity in a way. I mean, you can't publish unless you're licensed with Microsoft or any other approved licensor like EA, Konami, and like every big company. Like it's like there's no way you can publish on the Xbox Arcade, and like Sony's just saying like no, come over here, and it's definitely a selling point for a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really, 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 really smart on their part. It really is. And I couldn't be happier. If I end up getting a PS4, I'm going to be super excited to know that I'm with the console that's going to have the most indie games that could potentially have these, innovative, really fun games. And that's what excites me. I mean, if Microsoft is going to put so much restrictions on indie development and make them go through them anytime people want to do something, that's going to turn off a lot of indie developers, which could in turn make a lot of fun indie games that blow up and get, really good reviews, and a lot of, spread through word of mouth that you got to play this indie game, something like Castle Crashers and stuff like that are really fun. If that's not going to be on Xbox and it's going to be on Sony, point goes to Sony there. That's a big deal. That's the future, That's moving forward. Indie games play a huge part.
And especially recently, I mean, I can't believe that. I mean, how much leverage that indie games have gotten over like the past like 5 years.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
honestly surprised
They've
that
blown
Microsoft
up,
would
yeah.
try and inhibit. Like it's gone out of like, I mean, quality's certainly gone down, but I mean, even then, like, it's quality. There's still a lot of really good gems out there, and I mean, it's something it's growing. It's not. It's here to stay. It's not like a passing craze.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, that's a big thing in the future. And I also want to mention, we shouldn't leave them in the dark, but the Wii U's doing the same thing where they're allowing indie developers to develop, freely. So, I mean, once again, Microsoft is the only one doing something, and they're doing a negative thing that's adding an unnecessary restriction just so they can have a feeling and a sense of control over things, which is a big turnoff when the other two major consoles are, completely free and open to indie development and supportive. Sony's going the extra mile, though, just to, show that they're all about it, and pretty much, like I said, being completely supportive. They're not just allowing them to publish for their console. They're pretty much spreading, they're opening up their arms and saying, come on, guys, let's do this, We're here for you. Whatever you need. And that's, like I said, that's just expert move on their part. And that was, like I said, that was their first little kind of shot at Microsoft.
But before we go any further than that, we should talk about the other games they showed. We forgot to mention that they're making a HD remake of Kingdom Hearts 1. I think they're calling it 1.5. Kind of a dumb name, but I mean, they're releasing that for PS3, so that's cool. So like a lot of people like you've never
that's something I could.
So that's a perfect opportunity for you to jump right in the series.
Definitely.
And like they also showed of course Destiny, the big shower for them.
Yeah.
The Bungie is teaming up with Sony. They announced at E3, so that's another slap in the face of Microsoft in a way. I mean, Bungie obviously doesn't own Halo anymore, but
I think there's kind of sour grapes there.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to dissociate yourself with Bungie and Halo. A lot of people still kind of
a lot of people still think Bungie makes Halo, but I think there's some sour grapes there. You can definitely tell there was some sort of falling out between. I think it's a case of Bungie wanting to move on to do other games other than Halo, and I bet Microsoft did not like that, especially because they had a partnership. They never owned Bungie, but they had an exclusive partnership with them, obviously through Halo. So they probably felt like one of their kids went to kind of turn their back on them, which that's not really the case, but that's how it is from Microsoft's perspective, and they're entitled to feel how they feel. But at the end of the day, man. That's like that. It's like Bungie. It's like Bungie just left. Like Bungie just left an abusive. Bungie just left an abusive girlfriend, and instantly just is making Microsoft jealous with some girl that their ex-girlfriend hated. It's like their rival. So it definitely.
It's
definitely
some. The game looks like I'm not a big first-person shooter game, but the game looks really fun. Like. It looks like they're. I don't know if you've ever heard of the game Rift. It was an MMO that came out a few years ago. They had this thing called like public quests, where like it was like an event that would happen and like it would involve everybody like in the area. And they demonstrated that's going to happen in the game. It's like an open world thing, and like these events can happen like just kind of randomly, where it involves like everybody in the game, like not just you playing like single player. And it can just be like an alien invasion or whatever. And they were showing. The combat, it has a very strong Borderlands feel to it, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because they were showing how you get loot from monsters and whatever. You get better guns. They were showing how you can upgrade your guns, level up. It's kind of RPG in a way, but it looks like absolutely beautiful. Like it's definitely showing next gen.
Yeah, definitely. And that I can't wait for that. Just it looks great, and I think, like I said, it's a solid showing. It's a it's multi-platform. It's going to be on the Xbox One,
Yeah.
so it's not really Sony's. It's not Sony's baby that they can show off and be like, "Hey, we got this exclusive game." But with their partnership with Sony, you can definitely tell where the like you said, there's going to be some exclusives there with that game, and it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Because how much is Microsoft going to be willing to support a game from a company that they're probably not too thrilled with? I mean, they're going to do it just because they want money from people. They're going to obviously they want the game on their console because that'd be giving away a lot of freaking money and publicity and giving Sony an exclusive title like that. But it'll be interesting to see how much they market it and whatnot. So, anyways, Beyond Destiny, was that the last like major game that they showed?
I think it was, and
because I know they didn't show any Uncharted, they didn't show God of War, they didn't fall back on like their big exclusive titles too much.
I think they showed. Didn't they show Batman really briefly?
Yeah, I was gonna mention that, I forgot, but they showed a new trailer for Batman Origins, which was really freaking awesome. Once again, Sony has a partnership with WB, so it's obvious that they're going to get their own exclusive stuff, which frustrated the hell out of me being an Xbox owner for the longest time, getting Arkham Asylum and Arkham City on Xbox and not getting certain exclusives. Like in Arkham Asylum, PlayStation got Joker missions that weren't even available on Xbox, so that was frustrating. But it looks like they're doing that again, but this time it's just going to be skins, like it's just going to be outfits. They announced the Batman 60s outfit, the Adam West attire that you can wear, and also the Nightfall attire, which both looked really interesting and cool from what they saw. I mean, it's just an outfit, obviously, so it's nothing too major, but it'll be interesting to see if they do anything else, which I hope they don't. Even if I own a PlayStation, I know how it feels to be left in the dark with exclusive content on a multi-platform game just because you happen to own a certain console or don't own a certain console. It sucks either way,
Mm-hmm.
It's cool when you are the people that get the better thing, but it still sucks because you know how it feels regardless. Because there's games on Call of Duty always gets like the DLC first on Xbox, so we always had that above PlayStation owners' heads. But PlayStation would get certain things as well, like they got an exclusive Mortal Kombat thing, like Kratos, whereas Xbox didn't get an exclusive character, and Sony got the demo for Mortal Kombat, which Xbox didn't, and Sony got, like I said, the DLC for Arkham Asylum and stuff like that. So I felt it from both ways, giggity. So I don't want to boast about it, and I just rather there not be an exclusive content like that. But anyways, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that stuff. And I really dug the Arkham Origins trailer, but once again, that's a multi-platform thing, so you can't really put that in Sony's favor, so to speak. But it was cool that they got to show it. So
yeah. Well, that does remind me of a game they did reboot. I forgot about. They're actually bringing back Oddworld for Sony, did. And that's a bit of a shock. I mean, I don't think they've released one since PS1. I mean, they might have had one in PS2. I just don't remember. But I just really only remember it coming out for PS1 back when I was younger.
Yeah, indeed. All right, well then we got the games out of the way. Let's talk about console specifics because they actually did go into that instead of just going completely ignoring it like the Xbox did. Like the Xbox showed their console, which I guess they already did show their console. Oh yeah, Xbox did announce a new 360 model, but nobody cares about that.
Yeah, absolutely nobody cares about that.
But I thought I'd throw that out there. But anyways,
well, first before we get into what they did. That everybody's talking about. We should talk about what the console actually looks like because that's kind of it's an up and down for some people.
I gotta be honest. My first thing was like meh, like it looks kind of weird. They did the whole thing that we they did the half matte and half gloss, which we made fun of Xbox for. Little did we know, one day later we find out PlayStation's doing the same thing. I will say, however, it does look better on Sony's console.
It is absolutely tiny. Have you seen how big it is?
No, yeah, it looks. I
It
like
is.
that though.
It's as big as like a PS2 Slim. Like it is
I'm just saying though. Before we get to
microscopic,
that,
and I love it. I love how tiny
before
it
we get
is.
to the details, I gotta say though, I do like the half matte, half gloss better on Sony's.
It does.
It does look
It's like
better.
almost subtle.
It's
It's
not
not
my
as
preferred one. I'd still either matte or glossy, but it does look better than what the Xbox One has in that regard, from the matte and glossy perspective. But anyways,
But some people were complaining about the angle design, how it's like a.
yeah, it's at an offset kind of. It's not like a perfect box. It's
But
offset.
the thing they have a reason for that. I found out.
What's
They
that?
didn't say E3, but
I didn't hear about that.
it's angled because it hides the cords when you set it down, and it's
Like, how do you
it's
mean? Like, just because the top
yeah,
overhangs?
like it hides where all the cords go, and it's also designed so whether you put it horizontal or vertical, it's like really easy to get to the disk drive,
Okay.
like put discs in.
Hey, I'm all for it. As long as it. I mean, I don't think it looks bad. It does look a little goofy, but don't they all at first?
Yeah, but the backside I really like the backside of it.
I didn't
It's
see the backside. I
it's
don't
almost
think so.
aside from the ports, it's almost entirely ventilated. Like there's just vents everywhere on this thing.
That's good. They need that kind of stuff on these
So
kind of consoles these
it's
days,
probably going to be very cool, and it's probably going to be very quiet.
which is good. That's
Mm.
what that means a lot, because Xbox 360 is loud as hell,
Yeah,
and it gets
it's too
really
hot.
really hot, and
That's
that's what
good.
makes it break. So I'm
Um,
all for a console that's taking extra precautions to make sure that it doesn't have a catastrophe like that.
and then of course we can't not talk about what they said to Microsoft.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, let's go to that. We covered the looks. It looks great in my opinion. I mean, it looks weird. It's gonna be something that I have to get used to. But like I said, don't all new consoles, because it's new. I mean, who sees something new and instantly falls in love with it because we're
Yeah,
so used to other designs and other, if we're so used to like a square and you give us a circle, it's gonna look awkward. But by the time the next console comes out, that's gonna be the norm. That's what we think is normal. So to me, the offsetness to it and everything else about it, yeah, it looks a little goofy, but it's something that, as long hey, they have good reasoning for it, and I'm sure I'll like it when it's sitting on it, or sitting on my shelf, or whatever you want to call it, entertainment stand. And I really do like the size of it. I want a smaller console. I hate big bulky consoles.
absolutely. And
I have a huge ass TV and not a whole lot of room for console space, so I want a smaller console. It just looks nicer, you know? I don't want a computer case for my console.
Xbox One is like massive, like from what I've seen.
Yeah, it's like a
It's
VCR.
like as big as like an Xbox 360.
It's a VCR is what a lot of people say.
Mhm.
But anyways, all right. So yes, the used games things
Mhm.
definitely a big slap to the face of Microsoft. So basically, to sum it up, it was funny because I didn't see it in real time. I saw it on IGN, so I watched the trailer. So I didn't know anything about what happened. So I watched the trailer, and I saw that it was 20. I saw that it was titled "How PlayStation Handles Used Games," and I saw that it was 22.
Yeah.
I saw the time limit. I saw it's 22 seconds. I'm like, oh god, this is gonna be hilarious. I knew it was gonna be like such a simplistic answer, like just a sarcastic asshole thing, but just hilarious. So, anyways, so it starts out saying how PlayStation 4 handles used games. Step 1. And it shows one guy holding a PlayStation 4 game. And then it shows him handing off the game to the next guy. And they say, that's it.
Thanks.
Thanks. Exactly. That is perfect. All they needed to say. All they needed to say, really.
They showed it live. They didn't actually show that video. But what they did was just as basically slap in the face. They're like, yeah, here at PlayStation 4, when you buy a game, you can do whatever you want with it. You can trade it, you can sell it, you can give it away. You could even keep it forever.
Yeah, and I heard the crowd erupted.
Yeah, and they're like, and as far as you don't need to check in with anybody to play your games. You can play single player whenever you need to, whenever you want to.
I gotta say, I'm not an Xbox fanboy, but God, if they're for the Xbox fanboys that stand by their console brand no matter what, and just sit there and try and deny all the crap, Man, it's got to be tough for them right now
It's
because
gotta be so
they're
hard to
the
wrap.
laughing stock of consoles, like fanboys right now. Because how do you defend something like that?
And of course, the one of the big, like possibly the biggest slap in the face is the price.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
you're getting a technologically superior console with more features
yep.
for $100 less.
Yep.
I mean, it's not even like small thing. Like it has a better GPU than the Xbox One.
More memory.
It has the future proof RAM.
Yep.
It has, I think the hard drive is still the same. Another big thing for some families is it still has analog outputs. The Xbox One doesn't have analog. You have to use HDMI. I
And
mean, obviously, it's not going to be a big thing for a lot of people, but for
yeah,
some families,
and they announced the 500 gigabyte hard drive,
mm-hmm.
which yeah, you can take it out and
you can swap
upgrade.
it out,
Yeah.
which is huge.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like there's no reason not to do that. So, yeah, I like I said, it seems like Sony's doing everything right.
And I gotta say, I like the PS4 controller. I don't know if it's the thing is, I'd say it's hard to like compare the two. They're both pretty.
I like the touchscreen aspect to it because
Yeah.
it's not like overbearing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be something they build the console around like Wii U. But it's there in case they need it for something. It's small enough. It's small enough that it can play its role if it needs to play its role for whatever. I mean, we don't know what they can innovate in the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. That little tiny area could mean so much. You know.
The thing is, like, it doesn't look very nice. Like Xbox definitely has the better looking controller.
Oh yeah.
But I'm saying, but PS4 looks like it'd be more comfortable.
I mean, Xbox controller is my favorite. Like the 360 controller, I think is perfect. But I've never minded PlayStation controllers either. I think PlayStations are fine too. So
I like the analog sticks next to each other myself.
I don't. I like the offset ones. The one like on the Xbox where it's above the D-pad. I prefer that. So it's gonna be hard getting used to that. I find that I will say one good thing about the PlayStation controller or the PS4 controller over previous PlayStation controllers is the analog sticks are concave now on top. So now they dip in the middle like Xbox controllers did. So it's not like a big freaking round surface that you're pushing your thumbs up against. You can actually set your thumb on that lip of that concave dip, and that's perfect for me.
It's definitely gonna be a lot more. It definitely looks like it'd be easier to use. I think it looks more comfortable too. It just looks like kind of fat and like
Yeah.
a little weird looking.
Yeah, it's all right. So we pretty much covered most of what they said. I think they took some shots at Microsoft. They definitely made point, and they said it doesn't have any online checks. I don't know. Did they say that in the conference or not?
Yeah, they did say that in the
So it
conference.
doesn't have any online checks. Doesn't have anything like that. So yeah, I mean they pretty much just slapped Microsoft around like a little bitch.
There's also a couple things too. They also announced. They said PS Plus is going to carry over.
Yep.
But they're also making that required for online gaming, which is a big deal to some. But everybody I've talked to, they all say like, I've already had PlayStation Plus because there's no reason not to have it.
PlayStation Plus is really worth it. I mean, I don't have it, but I've seen a lot of the deals that they put up there. They're giving you full games for free, just as long as you only get them while you have PlayStation Plus. That's the catch. But if you're somebody like me who just always has Xbox Live, if I transfer that over to PlayStation Plus, if I'm dropping Xbox and I go to PlayStation Plus and have that subscription, I would love to get all these games for free just because I have it, and I'll always have those free, full retail titles, and I'll have free arcade titles or network titles or whatever you want to call them and stuff like that, and that excites me. And they have great deals, all sorts of stuff like that. So they definitely take care of their loyal customers and paying customers. And if they force that upon people, if it's a necessity, as long as they have a good online interface, rivaling Xbox Live, I'll pay the $50, no problem. If you give me like a chat system where I can chat with people playing other games, which you couldn't do on PS3, which is frustrating,
Oh, they announced party chat is in fact in PlayStation.
Okay, good. As long as they have stuff like that and they have, a unique name that you only have and stuff like that, just basically rivaling Xbox, like I said. As long as they do that, I'm good. That doesn't bother me at all. Yes, that was a boasting point for, PlayStation 3 users that online was free, but this is PlayStation advancing. They're doing everything to outdo the Xbox. If they don't outdo the Xbox's Xbox Live interface, Xbox can have that over their heads like they did for the past generation. And we're an online gaming, this is 2013. Online gaming infrastructure is very important, and they're doing everything right. If you have to pay $50 a year, that's not so bad. That's cheaper than Xbox Live, and as long as they have something rivaling it, it doesn't have to be better, but it has to at least offer a very, very similar experience. Then Sony's beaten Microsoft in every single aspect.
Absolutely, and not to mention, not to forget, they did mention that backwards compatibility is going to be somewhat supported with Gaikai, their streaming service.
Yep, and let's not forget the. I guess we did forget that earlier about the Xbox revealing that it streams through Twitch.
Yes,
Which is that is one of the pros of Xbox. So we should probably say that because we were pretty negative about them. But they do stream through Twitch, which is a good thing.
It's better than Ustream too. I think I use Twitch. I like Twitch better, but they're not necessarily. It's not necessarily better. I mean, it's definitely something that PS4 doesn't have to hold over their head anymore.
Yeah, good on Xbox for that.
They do have a dedicated streaming button on their controller, and they do have a rewinding feature.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
Which Xbox lacks. But I mean, it's like the little things.
Yeah. But I just want to make sure we threw that out there because that was a big thing that I just remembered that I was actually pretty happy with. But anyways, going back to Sony, so we pretty much covered most of it. And
I got a couple more things actually for PS4 too that they said.
Okay.
They also showed the new headset that comes with it. It looks pretty terrible, but you can use your old headsets with the PS4.
Okay.
So you're not going to be forced to upgrade like you are with the Xbox One. You can keep your fancy Turtle Beaches.
See, I'm gonna need to buy like a nice headset because mine are like the PlayStation headset sucks. That's one of the big problems for me with PlayStation is I have like a Bluetooth headset that was branded for like Sony PlayStations and it just is crap. You can hear, and my brother has the same one. That's how I know it's crap is because you hear so much feedback, like you hear just so much background noise that you don't want to. You hear their TV just blaring through it and it's turned way down, but you still hear the TV coming through it and still hear the person going on their controller and stuff like that. It just has way too much, whereas Xboxes don't really have that much feedback, background noise type stuff going on. So I hope they develop a nicer mic, or at least give me a third-party one that's decent, like a Turtle Beach, if it's good enough.
The headset they're coming with, it doesn't look very nice. It's one of the inner ear, like the earbuds, and I hate those things. They're so uncomfortable, like the ones that go in your ear.
Yeah. No, yeah, I hate those too.
Yeah,
my ears are so sensitive that those things just makes my
hurt after a while. So it's definitely not something, but it's nice that they're keeping it. They're not making it a new proprietary headset jack.
Yeah.
They're not locking out everything previous. And the final thing that they announced, which is really exciting for me and a lot of people, is they're not region locking the PlayStation 4 at all.
True. Yes, I remember reading that now.
And that's huge for a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. Once again, another thing that they have over Xbox.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people, it's really exciting because they can play like Japanese games they normally couldn't play, where they'd have to buy a Japanese PS4 just to play those games. But now that's not region locked. That's a huge selling point for a lot of people, and it's a selling point for me too. I mean, I like the idea of freedom here too. It's really nice that they're not trying to restrict you in any way with the PS4, unlike Xbox One.
Yeah, Sony's doing the complete opposite, and I don't know how Microsoft's going to win this one. I really don't. They're turning. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not an Xbox like fanboy by any means, but I love the franchises on Xbox, like the games on Xbox, and they've driven me away to the point where I'm really wanting to get a PS4 just because it seems like the smarter console to get. It seems like it's the console for the gamers, whereas the Xbox, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like that anymore. They're trying to force these restrictions, and they were probably hoping the other consoles were going to do the same thing, and they'd sit there and move on to this, super restricted new gaming console phase, but Sony's not having it. And
I didn't even really particularly want a PS4 before E3, and now I actually want one.
I didn't want one before when they first revealed it. I was pretty intrigued, but I wasn't sold. I was intrigued. Yeah. I was really interested with the streaming, the letting a friend like play through your system and from their system, and all sorts of weird stuff like that. The capturing and uploading to YouTube and stuff options that they had or whatever, and just stuff like that, and just all the innovative stuff that they were doing and showing that they were a gaming console and focusing on all the new games. And I thought that stuff was good. So that's what intrigued me. But yeah, with Xbox's huge blunder and PS4 just pretty much slapping them in the face, that just, how do you not support a company like that just blatantly takes full advantage of that opportunity? And that's hilarious to me.
It is, and it's like the good guy beating up the bad guy kind of thing.
Yeah, and more power to him. I already own a Wii U, and we'll get into Nintendo next, but yeah, Sony has done great. So let's rate their conference. I'll go first since you went first twice. I'm gonna go 8.5 again. I thought they were tied with Ubisoft in a sense that Ubisoft had tons and tons of good games to show me, whereas Sony gave me tons and tons of faith in their console and had some good games to boot. So I feel like they were very similar in that aspect. They could have done better. Sony could have done better, but where they were right, they were so right, and they had a little sass behind it too by bitch slapping Microsoft, which I thoroughly enjoyed. So yeah, I got to go with an 8.5.
I want to give them a 10, but I can't because I can't forgive the opening, the really dull opening where they just kind of droned on and on about stuff that no one cares about.
Yeah.
It's like I want to give them more. If they would have, if the conference would have been where I started watching it, it probably could have been a 10. But I mean, the Kingdom Hearts 3 is huge for me. I can't wait. I'm really excited for that. All the sass they threw at Microsoft is just beautiful to me. The fact that they're giving you free indie games for PlayStation 1, for PlayStation Plus, everything's looking really nice. It's like PS2 has come back again. It's a beautiful thing. So I have to give it a 9.5.
Nice. And that's what I'm saying. That first half an hour or so, if you would have asked me what I would have given them, I was just so disappointed. I was so let down. I was like, dear God, if they end this by saying, or if I find out after this conference that it was going to be like they were going to have all the same restrictions that Microsoft was doing, I was like, wow, Sony just completely blew it. But they didn't. They did a complete 180 after about halfway in. Completely won over my interest. I hate the people putting shingles on my roof right now. This is going to be such a bitch to edit, and you guys are going to hear a lot of loud noises. But oh well, that's the sake of being live, except for we're not live. But anyways. Jeez. Okay, so let's move on to Nintendo.
Yes. Nintendo, not technically a conference.
No, yeah.
But it's a conference.
It is what it is, so we'll talk about it anyways. Basically, you got Nintendo games, and Nintendo games aplenty. Some surprises, and some ones that we expected, but all around, it's what you want. If you're a Nintendo fan, whether you own a Wii U or you don't own a Wii U yet, like I own a Wii U, you don't own a Wii U yet, for both of us, we both came off smiling and happy.
I will have a Wii U soon, very soon.
Exactly, because I think they did enough. I mean, every Wii U owner currently knew these were going to come eventually, so that's why we bought them anyways. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, these are guaranteed titles that you're going to get with Nintendo, plus the added bonus ones, the surprises and stuff like that. But even for the people that were, waiting for a little bit more to be shown, I think this is what is going to seal the deal for them. You got all the big titles. You got Smash Bros. Shown. You got Mario Kart shown. You got a new 3D Mario, 4-person player type thing going on. You got some Zelda games teased and, announced and stuff.
You get just the remake from what they showed in the Direct. They didn't show anything new with Zelda.
And you got a Donkey Kong Country Wii U confirmed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You got Yoshi's Island, new Yoshi's Island game for the 3DS. You got now I'm blanking. Which other ones?
They have their new game, X. What's the actual name of it again? They were calling it X when they were announcing it. The names escape. It looks like Jet Force Gemini, but like new. It's like mechs and you fight dinosaurs, and it's like in space or something. Bayonetta 2, and it was a pretty short. It was really short. They didn't really show too much,
but it was short and sweet.
It was short. It was very short and sweet.
They didn't have a dull moment where they're like talking about all this crap that nobody cares about, because all they really wanted to get.
Literally the only things I didn't really care about were, I'm not a big Bayonetta fan, and I wasn't huge on the two new games, but I mean I still watched them, but I wasn't like bored.
Yeah. All right, so Smash Bros. Mega Man confirmed.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. I was almost in tears.
Yeah, that's a huge deal. I mean, that's like constantly I'd see top 10 people that need to be in the next Smash Brothers going into Brawl, going into this one. You always see Mega Man either on the list or topping the list. Like he's on, I don't have to explain it, but he's just the character that needs to be in these games at least once. Absolutely. And he's in it.
I mean, it's the best thing for me is that they're going with like the classic Mega Man. They're not going like Mega Man X or like the new Mega Mans, like the edgy ones where it's just
Mega
classic, like cartoony, cutesy Mega Man.
Which they should, yes.
He looks perfect. Like his model is amazing. He looks absolutely phenomenal.
His model is amazing. So his specials are amazing. Like how they incorporated all the different like robot masters and stuff like that.
He has all those moves. I'm assuming they're just going to integrate him to smash attacks, but man, that's a lot of creativity going into him. Like they showed like Metal Blade, they showed Slash Man, they showed
Leaf Shield.
Leaf Shield. They showed Crash Man. They showed
a flame thing. I forget.
They showed Flame Man. They showed so much.
Oh man, he just so damn good. Love Mega Man. So I'm so happy that he's included.
Definitely a main character for me.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I'm gonna be playing as Mega Man.
A lot of people, I feel like the first match is gonna be just all Mega Mans. Just people, all Mega Mans. Yeah, people trying out Mega Man because they want to know if they can play him well. So it's definitely gonna be interesting.
They showed the other new character, the villager from Animal Crossing, which is humorous to me because I joked about it in our last podcast. I'd say I'd like to see Animal Crossing in it, but I wasn't serious. So to actually see him in it, it was actually pretty entertaining, and how he has those unchanging eyes, and he just looks kind of disturbing in a way. But it's creepy. It's entertaining, definitely a fun gimmick character to play.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure to see if they add any more new people to the roster, because obviously this is just kind of a teaser trailer. Didn't show off too much, showed off enough to whet our appetites, basically. Showed off some gameplay and stuff. It looks absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, it looks beautiful. I can't even believe how good it looks.
From a gameplay standpoint and a graphical standpoint,
like
it just
graphics,
looks...
Yes. Yeah. Look, it's going to be amazing on 1080p.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait for that. So that's definitely a AAA title just right there. With a great reveal in Mega Man, because nobody knew. There was no rumors about it.
There was just
it was wish list. Yeah, people wanted him.
Appears, and you're like, oh god, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? And immediately I saw that hair. I'm like, oh my god, let that be Mega Man, please.
Yeah,
oh god,
that was. They definitely did that in style. You can't beat that. But so then Mario Kart. Mario Kart looked interesting. I mean, it's Mario Kart. They got the gravity thing going on, which, like we talked about this earlier. You said it looks kind of annoying, going upside down and stuff and all that kind of.
It's not necessarily inherently annoying. as long as they execute it properly. If not, it could be annoying.
But yes, I think in game it'll be much different when you're just focused on the view of your cart. It was just kind of weird seeing the normal, side of a track and then seeing the bottom of it and seeing somebody going on the bottom. Like that would be confusing and weird and awkward. So, but yeah, that's all for effect and stuff. So it definitely looked like it had some promising things, but not enough was shown to really know how it's going to play different from the other ones and stuff like that.
They show that they're adding ATVs, it looks like. Wario is on an ATV. Four-wheelers. It looks like they're bringing motorcycles back from what it looks like, which...
I don't really care about any of the other vehicles, to be honest. I like the classic carts, and that's all I ever use.
That's the same here.
I like the hang glider and the propeller stuff when you're going underwater, because that's like actual like just
they change the game.
Yeah, they add to the experience. They don't just like change the experience. Basically, it's I don't know, something like that. But yeah, I was never a fan of using motorcycles or anything like that. I mean, the Yoshi's the Yoshi Island game looked fun. It's Yoshi's Island.
I'm a little turned off by the graphics, how it looks, but I just like it doesn't feel like Yoshi's Island as much as it should to me.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Mario 3D World?
I wasn't huge on the new Super Mario Brothers Wii in those types of games.
But did you like Super Mario 3D Land? That's basically what this is.
I did like Super Mario 3D Land, and this looks like it's just going to be
Super
Mario 3D Land.
Yeah, but
with 4 people. So,
which is an interesting concept to do 4 people on a 3D plane like that. That's really going to be weird.
It can be a really good game as long as they don't water it down and like they have been doing with the last few.
I think it's going to be games. I think it's going to be guaranteed decent. I mean, this is Nintendo. This is Mario.
It's definitely like all the Super Mario Brothers Wii. They weren't not fun. They were definitely fun.
It's just how good will they be?
Yeah, they weren't as good as they could have been.
I'm sure it's guaranteed to get like a 7, but is it going to be 8, 9, 10 worthy? And that'll be interesting to see how it turns out. It is interesting to see the parallels of that in Super Mario Bros. 2 with the Toad, Peach, Luigi, and Mario, and see if they have their special powers and stuff. They
did demonstrate that.
Okay, they
Peach
showed
can glide, Toad can super jump, Luigi kind of flutter kicks.
Cool, and that's a really cool callback. So it'll be really interesting to see how it all plays together.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's tough. I want to see a tough game.
Oh yeah, so do I.
Even if it has to be like Super Mario 3D Land, where you go through once and it's just kind of okay, and then you go through again and they have a really tough mode of each level. I would be okay with that.
As long as I want to be challenged.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the big thing. And they showed Wind Waker HD, which looks great. I can't wait to play it. I loved Wind Waker. It's one of my favorite Zeldas. A lot of people didn't like it. It says too cartoony, but I mean that game was just so solid. And to see it come back with all these new shaders, the updated textures, and the lighting, it looks great. And they fixed the sailing problem, the tedium, by very simply just adding to speeding it up. Like they made it so you can sail faster by holding A.
Yeah. I never played I played the demo of Wind Waker a long time ago on like GameCube when they had like a demo disc or something. I don't remember how I played it, but so I'll be kind of I might play this like the HD remake, so it'll be interesting.
It's Wind Waker is one of my favorites. A lot of people didn't like it. I loved it. The gameplay was so solid that even if you didn't, I like the graphics personally, but even if you didn't like the graphics, you could really look past it when you got down to like the nitty gritty.
Yeah, like
the dungeons were really fun. The items were really cool. Like exploring was a lot of fun, even though it took a little while to sail. But it was really fun, like kind of getting set on this open world where you can just sail wherever you want and see all these cool islands. It was a really fun game.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to playing it again in 1080p.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, we pretty much just skimmed over Nintendo, but what other game?
Donkey Kong Country, the new one.
What did they show on that? Because I didn't even see the trailer for that.
It's just Donkey Kong Country Returns with new levels and Dixie Kong, it looks like, which is all right with me.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Country was really fun. except for the waggle. So hopefully they get rid of the waggle. And it's always good to see Dixie Kong back. Dixie Kong was always my favorite in Donkey Kong Country 2 because I love gliding everywhere.
Yeah, I never played the Country Returns, and I know they just recently released the 3DS version, so I'm kind of contemplating
I
getting
picked it
that
up,
for the
the
Road to
3DS version.
SGC.
Yeah, I'd recommend. It's pretty challenging too. Some like the bonus levels are really hard. It's just like Donkey Kong Country. The only thing I didn't like about it on the Wii is you had to like shake the controller to roll, and rolling such a big part of the game, I didn't want to rely on waggle.
Yeah.
So that really turned me off. But when I emulated it, it was fine because then I can just rebind it to another button. But it's I'm looking forward to it. They're also adding a like real time multiplayer. So if you have 2 player, you can control like Dixie or Diddy Kong independently, not just like wait your turn.
Cool. Sounds pretty good. All right. Well, what did you think overall of Nintendo showing?
Um, Definitely nothing other than Mega Man that just blew me away. But like other than that, it wasn't like mind blowing. It was definitely they showed a lot of good games, but it came down to like they showed 2 new games and none of them particularly interest me. And then Bayonetta, I couldn't care less about. And but I mean, it's definitely probably like an 8.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 8. They didn't do bad. They didn't like to me. They didn't knock it out of the park. They just showed a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, and I mean,
And Mega Man was the above and beyond. But I mean, overall, they were a solid like B showing. They didn't do anything wrong. They did a lot of good,
mhm.
but being that their console's already out, so they don't have that factor going for them, and they didn't really make any like new like crazy announcement about the Wii U and like something insane that it's going to get new. It was mainly just about the games, and they did really well at showing off some games that I'm definitely going to buy, definitely interested in, like Smash Bros. And Mario Kart, etc. I'm definitely going to buy them. So I, I liked it. I mean, it was a solid showing.
Yeah,
So
I was hoping for a new Galaxy for the 3D game, but the new one looks like it could be a lot of fun.
yeah, I'm sure that'll come in time.
And
No, another
oh, we
Galaxy
forgot
like game.
the most important part of Nintendo. Wii Fit is being delayed.
Ah, whatever. I'm gonna sell mine. You want my you want my Wii?
But yeah, other than that, I'd say overall to me, Sony won. I'm really happy they won too. It's been I've been waiting for Sony to kind of make their triumphant return, and hopefully they don't mess it up.
Yeah, Sony's kind of had a rough few years, especially with that whole like data mining thing, that
Oh yeah,
fiasco, and then where their service got shut down for like 2 weeks. Like they definitely had a rough time with that, and kind of had some ground to make up. But I think PS4 is like their ultimate I'm sorry, because they are just doing everything right this time, and they learned their lesson with PS3. They're releasing at a lower cost than the 360, only
yep,
$50 more than a Wii U, which is just
yeah, which is
outstanding.
amazing. I cannot believe how low they're selling it. I was just expecting 500s across the board, not a 400.
No, yeah, I think they're selling at a loss, and
Oh yeah,
they know that they're gonna have the more popular console than Xbox. They're gonna sell it at a loss and make a profit when enough people buy it and start buying some of their games.
they're definitely using the Wii tactic
Yeah,
this time around.
and they're being smart, because Xbox is now going to be the PS3 this time,
Oh yeah,
and they're going to be the too expensive console with all these restrictions and just not enough to show. I mean, PS3 didn't have restrictions, but my point is they're selling it too expensive, and they're going to be the most expensive console out there. And yeah, I think Sony has this in the bag, with Wii U being the X factor in that obviously it caters to a different crowd. And I see a lot of people getting PlayStation 4 and a lot of people getting Wii U. Those are going to be the top 2 contenders for the most sales wise. And Xbox is going to be that one that has a lot of ground to make up over these years. I don't know what they're going to
they
do,
have to get rid of the restrictions if they ever want to get close to winning.
but do they have do they have it so that they can? That's the thing that we don't
they've done
know.
so much damage. I mean, at this point, it's just like, okay, you're fixing what you broke, but what are you adding?
How do you think it's even possible for them to just completely, before the Xbox comes out, to abandon all these restrictions?
No,
How set
I
in
don't
stone?
think
How set
I
in
don't think
stone
they
do you
will.
think these are?
I think they're what they've said. I think they're gonna go through with it.
Do you think, okay, beyond like the limitations of whether it's physically possible, like if they're not too far along in their hardware and software design to be able to take those away in time, do you think they have it within them to just be like, hey, we were wrong, we apologize, and
No,
we're
from
not going to do
Microsoft,
that?
absolutely not. I can't see it happening. I mean, Microsoft is literally just the embodiment of corporate greed at this point.
Yeah, it's sad. It's true, and it's funny that they're the ones that are starting
Yeah,
a partnership with EA because both of them get a lot of slack for the same types of things now.
it's really depressing to see Microsoft doing this, but I mean, who didn't see it coming?
And I just hope they learn their lesson. I hope
Yeah,
they really get hit hard with poor console sales, which means poor game sales for other AAA titles. And I just hope they get half of what the others get. They learn their lesson and they come back stronger, just like PlayStation did. Obviously, we want to see everybody at their best.
obviously, yeah. No, we
So,
don't want to. I don't want to see anybody like terrible. I
yeah, we
don't.
don't want to see them
I'm not like
fail.
I'm not a PS. I'm not a PlayStation fanboy. I'm not an Xbox hater. Like I want to see
You
something
want
I would
you want to
buy.
see them get their comeuppance for doing something so dumb. We
Yeah.
don't want to see them out of the race. We just want to see them get hit hard, take their loss, shake themselves off, dust themselves off, and then do something right to make up for it later down the road. Be it with the Xbox One or the next console, they need to do something right
Maybe an
eventually.
Xbox One Slim.
Yeah, maybe when that rolls around in a few years, then they'll take all that crap off. I don't know. We'll
Maybe
see how
maybe
it
they'll
all
call
plays
it
out.
maybe they'll call it the Xbox too.
It'll be really 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 interesting. That's for sure though. Just how everything plays out when it's all said and done, how they go about all their restrictions, whether they stand by them and keep going that way or they end up backtracking. Or if PlayStation changes their tone and goes that direction, which if they get great success, I don't think they're that arrogant and stupid to do something like that.
I don't think so
I
either.
think if they take this approach, they know what the gamers want at this point. They made
I think
such a
they
big
had their spell of arrogance with PS3 after the PS2.
and
So
their shots at Microsoft say, you know what, we're not going to do that. If they take those shots and then end up turning and doing the same damn thing later down the road with their next console or just later
mhm.
in this development, they would get so much hate, even more hate in my opinion, just because of their obvious stand that they took and then going against it. So, anyways, all right. So overall, now that we've given all our scores, we both agree that Sony won this. I'd say let's rate in order who we think did the best to worst. I'd say Sony, Ubisoft, Nintendo, Microsoft, EA.
I'd say Sony, Nintendo, Ubisoft, EA, Microsoft, and then Konami, because I don't think anybody. I watched Konami and I was like, wow, this is nothing.
All right, and then now let's give our percentages of how well we think the console as a whole and like how well this console is doing and how hyped we are for it, just as a whole, performance wise. Reviewing the console, we both agreed on the 15 for the Xbox. We
Mm-hmm.
you gave the Sony 7, or you gave the PlayStation 4 a 75. I gave it a 90, and the Wii U I gave an 80, I believe. And what'd you give it? Do you remember? 85, I think.
I think it was an 85.
Okay, that sounds right to me. So let's reflect now. Let's start with Nintendo. What would you give Nintendo now? If you started with an 85, coming out of E3, are you more confident in the Wii U as a console, or are you worse off? Or do you think it's worse off?
Can you say that again? My dog was not shutting up, so I had to kick him.
Okay, so coming out of E3, now that that's over with, do you think you gave the Wii U an 85? Do you think it's better off now coming out of E3? Are you more confident in it, or are you less confident in it? So would you
I'm
raise
the
or lower
same.
your score?
Pretty much the same. I mean, I went in expecting a good reveal for Super Smash. I went in expecting Mario Kart, a couple new titles, and they delivered it. So I'm not disappointed. I'm not impressed. So I'm content.
Okay. So they basically delivered to your expectations. So you weren't blown away, but you weren't let down either. So they pretty much stayed on course.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So that's not bad. I would stay. I did 80 before. I'd bump up to 85 now, just because I think I think it's something like I knew that these games were coming, but I had to see them before
Mm-hmm.
forming, like getting that ultimate confidence. Like after seeing Smash Bros and just seeing how beautiful it is, it's not something that you can imagine. It's something that you really just got to see with your own eyes. And beyond that, the surprising, announcement of the, we knew more Mario games and stuff were coming, of course, but just being able to see like the the Mario 3D world and stuff like that, that intrigues me and that interests me. So I'll bump it up just because on that merit that I gotta see the games that I've been waiting for. So that makes me more confident in the console. So yes, 85. So we are agreeing at 85 in the final post E3 for Nintendo. So let's next move to Microsoft. Did they do any better? We both went with 15. Did they improve? Did they do less confident in? Are you less confident in the console, or are you about the same?
I'll bump them up to a 20 because they showed so many games and they added streaming. I mean, I can't view this console in any sort of positive light.
True. I don't want to play the agree game, but I'm going to go to 20 as well for essentially the same reasons. I mean, it's kind of hard to argue that or
it's too
differ opinion.
sour of a
Yeah,
taste. I can't wash it out.
they can only do so well. I mean, they showed some cool games. Killer Instinct and the streaming bumped it up to a 20 just because that's a huge thing, but there's only so much they could do and they definitely didn't undo what they did. So, yeah, I'm going to go up to 20 as well. I'm that little confident in the Xbox One. And finally, Sony PlayStation. You did 75.
Mm-hmm.
I did 90. I got to say for me, I'm going up to a 95 just for the fact that they I didn't think they were going to go the used game route and all that sort of stuff, but it was nice to have a confirmation because there were some rumors that people thought that Sony was going to do the same thing, that they just hadn't said anything yet. But the way and it was just I'm just relieved and I'm happy and all the good things about the Sony PlayStation weren't stamped on or stomped on by anything like that. They didn't have any negatives. I don't care if there's a fee for the PlayStation Plus. I'm okay with that as long as the infrastructure's there. So I think they did better. They showed off some games that I'm really excited for, and it just got better. And I love the sassy tone that they're taking. And if they keep taking that tone, just trying to outdo Microsoft and take shots at them when they do stupid things, I'm all for it. I'm on the Sony train. Put me on the PlayStation 4 bandwagon. Like, just put me on there. So 95 in my opinion. Confidence. 95 and the price point. That's a huge thing.
The price point is huge.
Yeah, 95% confident in this console's success. That it will be.
I am going to say it 100% fully confident that this console is going to succeed. I've always loved Sony. I've always loved PlayStation. I loved PlayStation when I was young. Like, a lot of my favorite games were on PlayStation. PlayStation 2 is my second favorite console of all time after Super Nintendo. And to see them coming back.
Oh, here comes the PlayStation love. I'm not a PlayStation fanboy. No, I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't say I'm not.
I'm just kidding.
I still love Nintendo. Like,
yeah, I'm kidding.
I can't say I'm a fanboy if I still love the other ones.
Yeah.
And like it's got to be said. I'm so happy to see PlayStation doing this. It's a wonderful thing. It's like the king has returned.
Yeah.
Like, here comes PS2 again, just ready to rock.
For me, the king returning would be Nintendo stepping up and really offering something for hardcore gamers. And And that's what I thought the Wii U would be, but because it can still play third-party titles, but it wasn't as powerful as I would have hoped it would be.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still confident
with it. It's going to be 4K.
It's going to be Wii all over again, but just better.
Yeah,
essentially,
there's
it's gonna.
Wrong with
there's nothing wrong with that. I was satisfied with the Wii. I'm just saying it's gonna be that different type of gaming experience all over again, where they're not trying to outdo the hardcore gaming other platforms available, but it's gonna offer that much better than the Wii did. Wii didn't offer any like third party hardcore game support like at all. So the Wii U at least has potential there.
You had third-party games, but they were like carnival games or Brer Rabbit's Reading Adventure.
Yeah. All right.
Those are real games, but...
Okay, so wrapping this up, Sony won, obviously, and we're most confident in Sony's consoles, so I think that's our prediction, that Sony's going to win this console war, going off what we know now. And, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all we have to say about that.
It's got to be said. I'm so happy that that PlayStation did exactly what I wanted them to do.
Yeah, I love the tone. I
was almost. Of course, I didn't clap because I would look like a retard, just like alone in my room at my computer, like clapping. But like, I wanted to like cheer. I was like, yes, this is so beautiful.
All right.
Like the sass, the games, the price, the specs, everything about it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, let's wrap this up. We did a long show. I'm not sure if I'll break this off into 2 parts or what. What?
PC still wins E3 though.
Yeah, whatever.
PC Master Race here.
Yeah, okay.
I still have better specs than the PS4 and the Xbox One. I still win, but PS4 is a close second.
And that'll about do it for this show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and yeah, next time we got some news to talk about, we'll definitely throw out another episode. So for everybody out there, you guys have a good time, and comment on what console you thought won, what company did the best in your opinion, and just basically throw out your ratings and percentages if you want, like kind of how we broke it down. So don't be afraid to share your opinions on this. We'd love to hear it. So I guess that's it. You guys have a good day. See you later. Easy.